still win.
So he's saying I still win because he knows you didn't have an ace, so my queen is good.
Yep.
Speaking of aces.
How about two of them under the gun for the Bulgarian? Buck 60, standard open. Nothing interesting.
Keep calling me with ace high, you're going to be in trouble today. I promise.
Ooh, Tony Tran talking about the ace high call on the check raise. Well, bud, you're check raising me with king high. How can I not call you with ace high is what I say. Talks a little smack, picks up queen jack, 2 Broadway cards at a 6-handed final table with a chip lead. You are against an under the gun raise, so the range should be fairly
160?
tight.
And a decent amount of that range should contain hands that are problematic for the ace, for the queen jack.
Ace queen, ace jack, king queen, 2 8s. It's a good squeeze spot here, but I think he might elect to just see a flop, but we have seen he can mix it up. We see that if he does get crazy with it, he'd run into the blade, but he decides to just call.
Yeah, Tran's presence obviously dissuasive to any antics from Schneeberg, who closes the action with a defense from the big. And 3 players with 600K in the middle. 10-9-4. The aces sit pretty. Queen jack is turned into an open ender. And Schneeberg checks with the 2 overcards out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the aces here, you're going to see a lead. He's got 2 players, doesn't want to give a free card for something like the queen jack out there, king queen type hands. Only thing you're really worried about here, the only thing you could be beat by is maybe some kind of 9-10 suited, but that's not likely in sets. You find out about sets. Queen jack, easy call for 180. Getting a great price in position. And again, the 8s with a bet and a call, 2 overs.
Yeah, not looking to make the overcall. Schneeberg gets out of there. Table for 2 now. Turn does not help Tran.
Yeah, 7-8 gets there. Don't think you're super worried about that. You could exercise some pot control and check here. Try to get your opponent to put some money in the pot for you.
And as played, this definitely seems like the kind of hand that may have just been taking a shot on the flop and is ready to get away from it on the turn. We'll see whether or not Tran looks to hold the door for Penev, who we know will not be exiting.
And they have that history, right? He's even talking before the hand started, or while it was in progress, being dealt. You keep calling me with ace high. You know, he's like, he's tried to bluff him. He's caught him. He's like, okay, now I'm going to go after it again. I got 2 overs. I got the open-ended.
Is this full pot? No, 905.
It is about full pot, yeah. 900,000. Now he's got a decision here. There's no world he lays this down, right? Your options are, do you want to check raise all in, or do you just want to call and give your opponent some rope? I think with his stack size, he's probably just going to check raise all in. If his opponent has some kind of draw with the hearts, or like he has the queen jack, you want him to pay the full price. You're not just going to call and see that river, and then have, you know, if you do, your hope is to check and maybe he misses and bluffs it off. I think you're just going to go all in here.
All in.
And there we go.
Count.
Tran asking for a count, but this is strictly posturing.
Well, he might feel he's getting the right price. It is only 1.4 million to go with 42 in the pot, so it's about 3-1 on the call. He knows he's got 8 outs, although we know 2 of them are dead. 8 outs to what's the nuts, because you're not really worried about the hard draw. So he's got 8 outs to the nuts. He might think a queen or a jack could be good if his opponent is making this move with like an ace-10.
$2,380,000.
He seems like a gambler.
Is he getting the right price, though? I mean, this is a good chunk of his $4 million back.
We see he's 18%, so he's a little less than 4-1, so he's not getting 4-1, but he doesn't know how buried he is. He doesn't know the 8s are gone. He doesn't know the queen and the jack are no good.
I don't want to be wrong.
Yep, yep. It's something to think about, as I'm saying. It's not just posturing, and I'm not saying he should make the call, but it is worth getting the count, doing the math, figuring out what your outs are, what percentage you think you are to win the hand. And sometimes you just feel it. You're just like, I'm gambling today, baby. It's my final table. It's not sound poker, but you see it. You see it.
But again, I go back to just how significant a portion of his remaining $4 million, which he could definitely operate off of if he were to lay down, this 2.4 represents.
He's still in great shape if he folds. That's something to think about, right? You fold, you're still in great shape. You just keep it going. Just get after it next hand. He's thinking about that bluff he made with the king high, and his opponent called him with ace high. Now is he bluffing me? People don't usually bluff their whole tournament life and take this line. I think his main concern is, are my queen and my jack also outs?
Yeah.
Because if they are, if I feel like I have a clean 14 outs, then I'm getting a good price.
But if the kings or the aces or better happen to be out there lurking.
I mean, if you're up against two kings, it's two less outs. Not only are your queen and jack not good, but your two less outs are even available.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll arrive at the same conclusion, that it's a fold, but he might want to gamble. Sometimes players say, F it. Let's just see.
We've seen it.
Chat, all typing call, call. Do they just want to see some blood? Oh, there it is. He sticks it in.
Wow.
He sticks it in. Oh, but we know two of the, I think 3 8s might be gone. I think somebody else mucked an 8 pre-flop. I'm not sure. But we know for a fact 2 of those 8s are gone. It's got 6 outs that we know of. What a call. And I don't mean that in the way I meant it yesterday.
Here it comes. Your buddy's calling for an 8. Blondie's calling for an 8.
Belande?
No, Blondie.
Oh, okay. Jean Robert?
The 8 would be ambitious, given we saw at least 2 of them in the muck, but the king is available. Here comes the river. It's a queen. Tran does pair, but of course, it'll be no good as Penn has aces.
And a reversal of fortunes. New chip leader here.
Pleased to have you with us here in continuing coverage of the World Series of Poker Europe, event number 11. 1,650 euros, 6 max, no limit. Just north of 22,000 euros awaiting our 6th place finisher. 158K plus up top. And now the short stack of Bumgarner must choose how to proceed against a sticky and fairly aggressive Tony Tran, who awaits Bumgarner's decision. Blinds up to 60 and 120,000. Bumgarner will limp, and Tran with real dust. Not that Bumgarner is sitting on a peach himself, but he does share the 3 and dominates it for good measure. And flops himself a 9 on a queen high board.
Tran's best way to victory is a bluff.
Looks like he's not going to be given that opportunity as Bumgarner reaches out. And
it's actually a better opportunity, I think, if he were to
20.
Be checked to and bet, the 9 almost certainly calls. If the 9 gets raised here, if he tries to take a more aggressive line, it's really hard to do anything with the 9. Doesn't have a lot of chips, but 120, all you have to really make it is like 300. What do you do if you got a 9 here and your opponent makes it 300 with a no kicker?
And a lot of times when a player does limp in front of us blind versus blind, and then just comes out swinging on a queen-high board like this, we wonder how good a hand can it really be if it's coming out swinging. We usually expect it's a hand that's just kind of probing.
Yeah. Look, here he goes. 300K.
Wow.
I called it. I called it.
Looks
Tran's
like
a
you know your
player,
man.
baby. Tran's a player. And what do you do right here if you've got a 9 and a 3? You got no way to improve, right? You do have backdoor spades. You can pick up spades. You maybe hit a 3 and make 2 pair, but you can't really call on. Your kicker's no good. You got to hate it, right? Because if your opponent has a queen or a jack, which they're representing, you're in trouble. You got 2 outs, maybe 5. Now, you got some backdoors, but are you going to make it to that river? They're likely, if you call, they're going to fire a hefty bet on the turn. Oh, he's going to look them up, though, with just a 9. We got some poker being played here.
No doubt about it.
Can Tran fire another bullet? He did pick up diamonds.
Ace of diamonds rolling off after Bumgarner made the call, and Norbert will check it.
Now, your opponent limped in. The ace doesn't likely hit them. It can, but not likely. Diamonds got there. You could tell the story that you were raising your flush draw and got there. I mean,
it does feel like that's fallen out of favor, though. The raising the flush draw on the flop move, I just feel like we see a lot more of people looking to realize their equity with the flat.
our man here sizing up a big hefty bet. You love to see it with such a short stack. Now, if you've got the 9 tray here, you've just got to let it go. Insta-muck, yeah. Very well played by Tran.
Making the most of position
Champion
and the situation.
breed stuff right there.
Yeah. Well, you always look like a genius when it works out, and then when it erupts.
Now, he could have had a draw and call you on that flop, but you find out a lot of information by betting that flop. Still haven't lost a player.
No, all in and at risk was Baumgartner, but he managed to double off of King Jack against Ace King. Tony Tran, the unlucky one in that exchange.
10-8 suited in the small for Penev. Definitely going to play this one.
Things could get interesting here, David, if all of a sudden the stacks level off as the blinds get big and we're sort of shallow. There's 2 ways to presume that players would approach that spot. Either, okay, let's get it in and let me try to separate myself from the pack here and do some damage, or war of attrition.
Yeah, I think we would see a war of attrition, and if somebody were to get out front, they would put the pedal to the metal. These players all seem to have a grasp on tournament poker and force the other players to react or wait for their opponents.
And look at Simone asking questions of this Penev limp with just 6-4 offsuit. And again, Penev hanging tough, blind versus blind.
His hand's a lot stronger than before. 10-8 suited is a very strong hand here.
Oh, especially on the King 10-8 board where he's got bottom 2. The bad news for him is that Simone has nothing cooking, but will he have ideas about follow-through? It certainly appears that way.
Yeah, I think he has to. When you raise your opponent's limp and you get a king-high board and you've only got 6-high, you almost have to c-bet. C-bet's fairly small because it's the kind of board where if your opponent has nothing, they give it up, and if they've connected it anyway, they're going to continue. So why risk a lot of chips? You can accomplish the same thing, right? You can pick up the pot if they missed, which is what you're hoping. They whiffed. For 250, you could pick it up for 400, 300, so 250 is enough. And the minute your opponent does anything, you know, okay, 6, I'm beat. I'm done. I'm going to most likely give this up.
Super draw-heavy texture on the flop. Penev electing to flat, and now a good deal of those draws come home on this turn where Andean has the hard draw.
Such a scary board that I really think I would check raise the 10-8 there to really establish my hand and try to just win it here because there's so many bad cards like this queen. Like right now, you can't check raise. Your only option is to call or even muck. you allow yourself to get bluffed or put yourself in such a bad spot by just calling.
$1 million into 1.42 out of Simone.
And now what do you do, right? Like, you can't really check raise here because it just seems suicidal on this board. You want to call, but you call $1 million. You've only got 2.3 left to play. There's a lot of bad rivers that you can't even call. And then if you get a blank river, are you going to jam? You're going to check call? I mean, it's just a tough spot. I'm not saying he should fold. I'm not saying what he will do at all, but why I like to check raise that flop. Now, it turns out he's giving his opponent maximum rope.
But Andrian does draw live to a heart on the river, which does not come in, but there is a real ugly card. If we hold 10s and 8s in the jack of clubs on the end, now any 9, any ace, and a number of bigger 2 pairs even that are king jack, queen jack, maybe some 10 jack.
Now, I think here if you're Simone, you've got to jam. The reason is your opponent doesn't likely have an ace the way the hand went pre-flop, right? They limped, you raised. They could, but not likely. You represent the ace. Your story looks like an ace. You've only got 6 high. There's 3.5 in the pot. It's a great spot to jam.
Oh, and how milky does this look? 1 million into 3.42, and boy, these 10s and 8s have just dried up. Oh my goodness. Measuring out the call, but not exactly delivering it.
Yeah, I'm shocked at this bet. I mean, if you're going to make this bluff, I mean, he doesn't know his opponent's hand is as strong as it is this 2 pair, but if you're going to make this bluff, I really like a jam.
Maybe but to be fair, the polarity of the jam is stripped away when we bet this sizing, and obviously an ace looks like it's begging for a call when we're firing $1 million on the end, so it gets through. Nice 3-barrel spot there from Simone, who rides 6-4 offsuit to glory. Top of the leaderboard for quite some time, but has run into the Simone Andrian show, and Simone with ace-jack on the button.
So they fixed it, misdeal, because they started the cards wrong, shuffled, got the cards out correctly.
Yep.
Got a raise on the button with ace-jack. Schneeberg with ace-4 off, and 24 big blinds-ish or so. Oh, decides to shove, and I think he's going to get called here.
Oh, yeah, a snap call from Simone. And he is going to be in fantastic shape here as Schneeberg realizes that maybe there's a bit of haste.
Here we go. Gonna need some fortune here. Champagne's already popping. Did you hear that?
Flash jack.
Well, it's a personal aqua panna for the time being for Simone, who knows that he is in great shape.
No, the 7 is always coming, not the 4.
In this case, I guess.
Also the 4.
Conversely, Schneeberg understands that the straights are dire. A big dog heading to the flop. How will the ace-4 fare? Well, the answer is not so well, but 2 clubs work.
No clubs.
No clubs, 4.
3 or the 5
4
clubs.
of spades.
Oh, yeah. The soggiest of turns. But instead, it is a queen of hearts. And now it is just a 4, which saves Schneeberg's hide. Can he hit the 3-outer for extended play? Or do we have our champion? We have our champion. The ace-jack holds.
It was really nice to play against you. You're really good.
And kind words being offered by Simone Andrian, your champion, who will take home 158,616 euros along with the bracelet.
Adesso grande così dobbiamo fare.
98,020 euros will go home with Josef Schneeberg.
Oh.